American commandos flew into a sovereign nation, seized its head of state and his wife, and dropped them into a Brooklyn detention center. 6 months later, that head of state, Nicolás Maduro, sits in beige prison scrubs in a Manhattan courtroom, and the trial that will decide his fate is not scheduled to actually begin until June of 2027. From Berlin, the striking thing is not that Washington dislikes Maduro. Everyone dislikes Maduro. The striking thing is the casual confidence with which the United States now treats the leadership of another country as arrestable, a matter for the Southern District of New York rather than an international tribunal. Americans call this justice. Much of the world calls it something else and files it away for later. Here is the scene. The 63-year-old former ruler of Venezuela shakes his lawyer's hands, waves to the gallery, smiles, and vanishes through a heavy wooden door. The whole hearing lasts about 20 minutes, shorter than the drive back to the prison. Judge Alvin Hellerstein asks, almost politely, whether everyone would like to adjourn. Nobody, it seems, is in a hurry. Prosecution and defense have jointly agreed the main event will not open for another year and a half. Maduro faces a combination of weapons and drug charges and, if convicted, potentially life in prison. He and his wife maintain their innocence. Delta Force plucked them from Venezuela in a secret operation at the start of January. Since then, the country has been run by Maduro's former deputy, Delcy who, according to New York Times reporting, largely executes instructions from the Trump administration and specifically from Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Read that sentence again. Venezuela's president is in an American cell, and Venezuela's day-to-day is reportedly steered from an American desk. Maduro's supporters clung to a single legal thread. A lawyer argued in print that under a 1922 extradition treaty, a case like this belongs before an international arbitral court, not a New York jury, and that the court is obliged to release him. Roughly 20 demonstrators gathered across from the courthouse near a children's playground, waving the argument like a lifeline. Inside the courtroom, nobody mentioned it. Instead, the defense signaled its real strategy. Maduro, as a head of state, enjoys immunity, which would make his very arrest unlawful. The prosecution's answer is elegant and revealing. Since 2024, Washington no longer recognizes Maduro as Venezuela's legitimate leader, citing electoral fraud. So he has no immunity. The defense will counter that by anointing his successor. Washington effectively legitimized his claim to power, and there it is, the quiet contradiction at the heart of the whole affair. The United States removed Maduro because he was not a real president, while treating him as important enough to justify a military abduction and a trial that could run for years. He is simultaneously a nobody and the biggest catch in the hemisphere. Whatever Hellerstein decides, the precedent is now on the table. A foreign leader can be taken, flown home, and processed like a drug courier. The world is watching and taking notes. That's the view from here. What does it look like where you are? Drop it in the comments and subscribe for the perspective American media won't give you.